take me home, take me on a ride. I got a good feeling about the colors lighting up your eyes. Take me home, take me to the sky. I got a good feeling. Tell me the only thing you are is mine now. I got a good feeling. I got a good feeling, good feeling.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome along. Monday night, 8 p.m. If you haven't seen enough of us today already, it's the third instalment of me, second of Gob, and Boise joins the party. Welcome along, everyone.
How are we doing?
Should have left him alone. All right, mate.
You have done exactly that. I am
Welcome along. First of all, apologies. Neil won't be on now. Something that's came up last minute, so you're going to have to make do with us. And at that short notice, we couldn't get anyone else on. But we've still got plenty to talk about.
Just a little.
What's happened?
Well, you know, it's a bit of a non-stop. And for those that didn't miss it earlier on, Boise, you missed it as well, that Fallon grilled Gob about his Prime bottles during the Pro Tour stream.
Not surprised.
Actually, she roasted him. It was funny.
Yeah, well, I've always been a Bogreave fan.
No, it was
Anyway, Mr. Bars, happy birthday.
Cheers, buddy. Thank you very much.
Do we ask how old?
You are being very generous.
Yeah. The thing is,
generous.
I went through a few of my snaps earlier, as I always like to do when it's someone's birthday. I have got a few of Mr. Bars. I went with a quite obvious one of him being sat in a nightclub in his shorts and flip-flops. What a tit.
To be fair, when I rocked up to Pop World wearing that, you were like, you're never going to get in with that. In we go.
I think that says more about Pop World than it does you.
Yeah. Chat room is in as always. How are we doing? Tommy. James is in. Bob. Craig. Cheers, Paul. Thank you very much. Max is in. Jason. Fraser, how are we all doing? Owen. Joe. ABM Floorcat is in. Gary's put unlucky. Great run from Connor Scott. Yeah, we'll talk about the Pro Tour in a bit. Cheers, Bob. Paddy is in. James, how we doing? Yeah, I mentioned it once or twice. How we doing, Naz? Oh, wrong one. Evening. Frey, how we doing? Yeah, 21 again. I'll take that.
Times.
And those three balls. We'll talk about that as well. It's a new Gary Anderson. But the race for the match play is hotting up, gents, after today's Pro Tour action. First of all, Michael Smith adds to his tally. Look, a lot of names missing, but still two you'd expect to be there or thereabouts in the final.
Can't really complain with it on today's performances. It was pretty solid all around. Strange to see Smith win a title without averaging 100 at all throughout the day. But he was solid.
Yeah. Look, the final was a strange one because it went one way then the next. One leg made the averages look horrendous at a point, but the fact they dragged them back to somewhere respectable despite that awful leg was testament to how good it actually was.
Yeah, and then it dropped again when Gary hit the three balls because that was a 23 dart leg.
Yeah, look, they both averaged nearly 94, But apart from the two iffy ones, it was just brilliant.
Yeah, that lead could have been like a 40 dart lead, and it would have made no difference after Derry Anderson doing that. Just take it away from everything else, doesn't it?
To do it, 3 balls to leave double 6. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
I guess it's just what as a player are you thinking at that moment? You are just talking about for double 16 to win a lead move, one away, I think it was, that would have taken him, and it was like, what do you think? I'm assuming Gary Anderson only continued that once he hit the first one. If he'd have hit 25, he'd have probably looked and done elsewhere, been on 162. But it was great, wasn't it?
Yeah, you presume the 25 is first. If you hit that, you're going back up the top. 65 leaves 97. You're on a 2-dar instead of a 3. Bit of frustration at that point. His scoring just seemed to have disappeared for a couple of legs. Obviously, he led that one 5-1 at one point. But yeah, just bizarre. Funny though.
Yeah, funny. Also, as well, superb run from Connor Scott to make the semi-final. We commented a few weeks ago that we felt the form was coming and he was adjusting to life in the PDC, and today proved it.
He's settled. Equipment looks the same. He's firing his darts in. There's a little bit more confidence to him right now, and he's taking his chances.
Yeah, I was going to say, he spoke a lot the other week around taking in sort of the experience, learning from the better players and what they do in between their sort of games, how they rest, how they practice in between it all. And it just seems like his game's coming to fruition as we speak with a great run. And yes, it wasn't a great sort of semi-final performance from him, but let's take nothing away. It's a great run to a semi-final. And not the only one. Oh, that's not the only one to sort of talk about with a great run today with Mr. Perez.
Yeah, we're going to say we're coming to him. Christian Perez's first PDC Pro Tour. Look, he's had visa issues since winning his card. World Cup this week, so he's managed to get into Germany all right. And a run to the quarterfinals is certainly something that I don't think we expected that level straight away at having not played competitively at the top end for so long, but that was stunning.
Well, look, the Asian Tour has returned, and he's been playing in that to keep himself fresh. Didn't travel to Mongolia recently, where Paul Lim picked up a title instead. But at one point, we were seriously talking about the fact that Christian Perez was an undefeated tour card holder.
Yeah, completely.
4 games in a row. And it just continued. There was plenty of fans in from the Philippines watching him with us. Seems to have a lot of backing. And if that's the impact it's having just here on YouTube, we're seeing a number of Filipino players playing in the Asian Tour, and we're seeing that level increase. You look at the last block before Mongolia, and I don't think Perez won there or Ilagan. It was new names that we hadn't really seen before. They could be a massive player in the world of darts in a few years' time.
Yeah, I completely agree. It was great to see. And it was the manner of the performances as well. They were right up there. And we're going to obviously come on to the World Cup in a bit, but all of a sudden, Perez with that level, if Ilagan is anything like he can, the Philippines become a threat.
Yeah, I know we'll go through it in more detail, but there's a lot of teams that you look at, and it's just finding them one camaraderie, but the players you're looking at the players who are in form, or the players we've seen something of over the past couple of months, but they are 100% a threat and would have been unseed that you wanted to avoid.
Yeah, Connor, we'll come on to the match play in a little bit, so I've starred that question so we don't forget it. Also, Danny Lauby, first taste of Pro Tour action, makes the quarterfinal. A lot to like about that as well.
It was very good today. Very, very good.
I guess the thing about Lauby, is there any real surprise that he's got that far? We've seen that what quality he can produce and how important the Super Series is to some players. I'm going to say I'm not really surprised he got to the quarterfinal, even though it was on debut, because he's that good.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Gerwyn Price out in the quarterfinals, but again, a steady run for him. There was a brief period of time today where James Wade dropped out of the top 16, which we said's been coming. Look, James Wade at the moment is fighting for his place at the top table within the PDC. I think that's a fair assumption that he hasn't lived up to the James Wade that everyone has become accustomed to over the last 2 decades. And it's a bit of a turning point at the moment.
Yeah. The only thing I'd probably say in defence of James Wade, and this is more from what Dob would say in defence than it is me, but if there's one player who's going to turn up and go and pick up a tournament win and not play to the standard he probably is playing at the minute, it's going to be James Wade. He'll come and find it from nowhere, because we've seen what he's over 3 decades. He's picked up a TV title. So the longevity's there. It's just he's not finding enough wins at the moment in games where you expect him to find a result. There's a concern that he's not mixing it with the top boys and he's going to drop out the top 16. But I still always think there's going to be a James Wade win or a James Wade deep TV run incoming very soon.
You say that, and yes, normally I agree with you that is kind of expected from him. But before that, those deep runs have come off the back of having protection because of his ranking. Those protections now aren't there. So he's going to run into the big hitters earlier.
Potentially, but look, he's still incredibly difficult to beat on his own throw. And when you've got that as an asset, when you've still got the finishing that James Wade does, he's going to pick some of them off. It's just what he does.
Yeah, I know. Like,
do I think he's got the same drive as before? No. James has openly for the last few years says he hates playing darts, and if he didn't have to for a job, he probably wouldn't. But at some point, when you have to keep food on the table, he'll have to start turning up.
Yeah.
But my concern is, look, his scoring has been questionable in the past, but right now, he's almost a scoring visit behind the rest. That's the scoring power of others has gone to another level, which James was already behind, and his has stood still. So he's almost a level and a half behind those top hitters now.
As his level, perhaps, yes, maybe, but we know he has that in him. Because let's not forget, this time last year, before an overnight stay in hospital in Germany, he was one of the best players in the world at that point. His scoring was right up there. He's banging in ton pluses for fun. We've seen it in the past from him. You don't just suddenly forget all that. Yeah, it might not be a level and that will be a patch of form, but I think when somebody's been there and done it as often as James Wade has, for a longer period than anybody else, pretty much, in the PDC right now.
I do see both sides, because I do think there is a drop in performance. There's a drop in sort of what I know he's well known for, being able to find a win from sort of nothing and being able to snatch a win. But his A-game is never spoken about, and it is underestimated on how good James Wade is. That's what we're not seeing at the minute. It's very, very rare we're seeing him pinging a ton plus or throwing them in a couple a day as a pro tour. It's just, I'm not as worried about James Wade, I think, as some of the other players on the tour who have been up and around that top 16. Yes, Wade potentially will drop out of it, but I still think there's a deep run incoming over the next 4 or 5 months.
He's provisionally world 27. That's not a drop-off. That's bordering outside the 32.
It's nice. 5 places better off the 32.
That's bordering. He's close.
No, it's heading in the wrong direction. Yeah, but I think you're looking for more ways to kick it down right now. You just have to believe that he will get going. I've more belief that James Wade will resurrect than I do Peter Wright at the moment. And that's a big stretch.
I'm not convinced either do.
But I think Wade has time on his hands.
Genuinely not.
I also think if you're going to play badly, Wade is more likely to win games playing badly than Peter Wright is, which is enough to stay afloat. Not necessarily at the top 16, but Wade can go along for 9 months, averaging mid-90s, and win more games than Peter Wright will win averaging mid-90s because of those moments, because of how difficult he is, to be on his own throw.
That I agree with, but I just don't see him beating the big hitters, especially when he's going to now meet them early on in the tournaments. I just don't think over a longer format game he has the scoring power right now to live with the top guns.
Let's see, won't we?
Yeah, look, it's an interesting scenario, and look, to think of James Wade outside would be almost unheard of. So where were we as well? We've done the Perez one. Tiz is in. How we doing, lad?
You're beautiful. Well,
done that one. Cheers, buddy. Sam was loving the cameo Fallon. Yeah, we may get the same tomorrow as well.
Have you got more Prime, Dog?
I didn't pay for them free.
You've been paid way too much if you paid for them for it.
This is an interesting one. We'll come on to the match play because it's linked to them. But Bob says, why are there so many players pulling out of the Players' Championships events and the reserve list isn't used more often? Is it because it's in Germany and not England? I think there is a balance to both. I can see why some of the players have opted for missing this one, in particular MVG and Johnny Clayton. They're just off the back of a Premier League campaign. Michael then went on to New York. So I get why they're missing. There are some players that are missed that I don't think should. But I think being in Germany is a reason for it.
Yes.
We've seen the issues that players have had travelling before. So I can see why they've missed. I'm not saying I agree with it, but I can see why.
There's just a concern. I was listening to Smith's post-match with Dan, and very much he was last minute thinking about not coming. I think he'd changed his mind after an exhibition on Friday. But he said part of his reason for coming was because he was starting to 64 on the Players' Championship and it was not missing out on a TV event. Obviously, he's would have been fine because he'd sure he'd playing a couple. It very much goes back to the debate around the Euro Tour being more important than the Pro Tour, that Michael Smith's just coming to play a Pro Tour to make sure he's on TV, where you wouldn't think the world champion would need that, but it's only the Players' Championship would be a concern to him. It's just a concern for me that the Pro Tour is dropping down the pecking order very, very quickly. And this used to be the bread and butter for a vast majority of the pros. Now we're seeing a huge number drop out, not just in Germany.
To the elite, this is the bottom of the pile. This means nothing.
Well, it means top 16 order of merit to stay seeded on the Euro Tour. But for you can sit there and say that it's up to the players to manage their schedule and whatever else, but actually, and the PDC will provide the opportunity. They don't have to play in everything, and they could choose to pull out if they're tired, and blah blah blah, and everything that goes with that. But actually, because staying in that top 16 is so important to be seeded at a Euro Tour and not have to go to the qualifiers, which is an extra day traveling anyway, we're increasing that risk of burnout that we're saying isn't there because the players can pick and choose what they play in.
It is, and I agree with the point about staying in the Euro Tour, but I look at then Gezzy's approach was like, actually, I can't be asked for the qualifiers. I'm going to back myself to go and do some damage in the events I'm in and get back in that way.
Yeah, it's different for someone of that caliber, isn't it?
Yeah.
To sort of have that attitude.
Multiple major winner or someone like...
Yeah. And it probably worked. It worked out quite well for Desi because he was able to do the 2 weekends of exhibitions around Scotland. I'm sure, I think it was both of them, if not one. And it worked out quite well for him because it was him being forced to manage his schedule instead of having to pick a weekend to have off. It dropped quite nicely in dropping out of those two. For the players who are not in that top 8 or your World Series players, shall we say, then I don't see why you're missing Pro Tour events. unless there is an occasion of some sort that you can't make it or anything due to health, I don't know why you would not be playing in a Pro Tour event if you are not a top 8 to 10 player who's doing Premier League or World Series.
A lot of it is the travel aspect to Germany as well. You listen to a few of them, they're like, oh, I'm going to miss the Germany ones. That's always, so I'll miss the Germany ones.
I get that, but look how important it is look at the quarter-final list we've had today. There's names in there that no one would have expected, and there's opportunities that have been missed by others that have now been taken by, Tonner, for example. But it's just those sort of, for me, I just find it strange, especially when you're fighting for Players' Championship places, you're fighting for match play places. I know I've seen it in the chat and we mentioned it the other week. People like Jim Williams not playing in certain Pro Tours. Just those sort of players. I know they've got lives outside, away from darts, but I just find it a very strange choice not to play in all these.
I think that there's a few. Look, Jim, I'm not sure wants to be a dart player anymore. If I'm being completely honest, the fact that the ones he's missed, the ones at Leicester, he played the Saturday and just went home. So that's a different story about Jim. I think I'm not convinced he just wants to be, but it was interesting when we spoke to Peter Wright when I went to the Euro Tour and Reset when he was on the slide a little bit. It was asked, would you go to the qualifiers? And he was like, no. So there is a switching mentality here at the moment.
Is that players being that little bit too pampered that aren't used to having to travel compared to some that have to travel frequently, or is it genuinely an issue?
I would also add, Phil, the drop of Peter Wright's form, if in 12 months' time that hasn't improved, I feel like he may be pushing himself to more of those because he would fall into the sort of James Wade category, if not further down the chain. We know how much he's losing this year. He can't then afford to not go to certain qualifiers where Euro Tours is a vast amount of money.
Or does he take the Adrian Lewis approach where, knowing Peter, I think he's obviously been quite sensible with money, he just says, I can live off exhibition money.
For now.
Yeah, but he's close to retirement anyway. Let's be fair, from the darting age, he's not going to go on too much longer.
Yeah, it's how much drive he's got to be a 3-time world champion, how much drive he's got to be a win more TV events. Because that is there, and you see that from him at times. It's just having that all year round to drive yourself to be number one in the world again.
The other one as well is, should the qualifiers be before the Pro Tour event? Because they used to be.
Previously, though, weren't they?
Yeah, they were before. Now they've been switched to always the Monday after.
It depends on the double up, because obviously this weekend that wouldn't have been possible because the venue was used for a development tour before, where the calendar feels like it's shrinking. It's expanding. It feels like the year's shrinking.
I think if you used to ask players, they would prefer it in the way it is now, because you can build up to that qualifier.
I disagree. I think they'd want it first because that's the important one. I think some players would happily go and do the qualifier. If they qualify for both, skip the Pro Tour again. I know that's just what he talks about, but that's their focus. On a weekend there's a qualifier, they're all saying the qualifier is more important than the Pro Tours.
But don't they want to play into that form instead of some of these Pro Tour weekends some of the players have not played competitively, might be the wrong word, as they're probably playing elsewhere in Lota Thompson or whatever the Tanner's a PDC player. But to play against those top players, surely that's better having the 2 days or 3 days, whatever it is at the time, to then lead into that Monday. Yes, if you've lost both Saturday and Sunday, then it's a different feel.
This is what I mean. It's double-edged.
If you haven't played for 2 months and then you turn up on a Friday to then try and qualify for an event or two, surely that's more difficult than not having that competitive day.
I suppose it's the thing, because you could, if you, like you said, if you've not played a lot, then if you play 2 hard days, come the qualifier, you're knackered where you're not ready for it, where you're not match fit. So it's kind of, there's arguments for and against both.
There is. I don't know. you're never going to get it perfect, are you? That's the problem. Like, after a 6-week gap to Pro Tours, the last thing you want to be doing is walking into the more important Euro Tour qualifier at that point. You want the 2 days on the Pro Tour to get yourself back into it again. In this heat, you probably want to play it as early as possible and get it done because you're drained by the end of it. Like,
also, this is an issue. We spoke about this earlier, Gob, on the thing. Flight prices are an issue right now. Because the price of some flights are first round winning money. So some players are having to win maybe 2 games across the weekend just to cover their flight and hotels. That's not put money on the table at home as well. That's just to cover the expense of being there.
yes.
But that is part and parcel of being a professional player. That they know when down to Q-stall or that those toss. Yes, they've shot up. But you've got to know that there's going to be that toss. And how would that then be fair if every tournament was in Milton Keynes or every tournament was in?
I'm not saying everyone should be in the UK, don't get me wrong, but I think something needs to be done around the money side of it. Because we spoke about it earlier, that you can go to a Pro Tour and not win anything. And that we spoke about that still doesn't sit right. Would you go to work on the potential of, this is everyone, by the way, not just in the chat room, or you might get paid? No other sport, even losing, if you're a boxer, you're still officially like self-employed. Even if you lose, you get paid.
Yeah.
And it's all right saying, yeah, but when you should be winning, you've won your card. You've earned the right to be at that top table. So there should be some finance for being there, in my opinion. It's not like an open tournament where if you lose first round, you go, I get that. But you've gone through the system and you've earned the right to be at the top table.
I'm undecided on it. I very much am undecided on it. I get the point. It's just how they would finance that. Would they then have to reduce the prize pot money, or the winner wouldn't get a certain amount, or?
This is just my view. When they put it up, there was no need to go from 10 to 12.
Yeah.
That money could have been put at the bottom end. It didn't need to go to the top end.
Yeah, it could go to the bottom end in regards to splitting across first, second, third round, whatever losers you could do. But £2,000 isn't a lot across 64 players, for example.
No, but the same with the Euro Tour. Did it need to go from 25 to 30 for the winner? So then all of a sudden there's $7,000. So there was easily bits that you could easily add up to put into that pot.
Well, yeah, because in doing that as well, they've made those qualifiers so much more important. Because of the weighting of the Euro Tour. If that's bottom end on both tours, there's no concept of building from the bottom in anything. It's chasing headlines and chasing, oh, look, our world championship earns £1 million. They won't stop until that happens.
No, that's the goal and that's the aim.
And the problem is, by the time they finally get there, $1 million isn't. It'll be like Dr. Evil. $1 million. Yeah, that was big 30 years ago, mate. Can't hold the world to ransom for that. You're still going to be miles behind other tours.
Well, I know we're going to talk about it in a minute, and me and Gob were having the conversation some point over the weekend that the World Cup players, if you finish third in your group, potentially the prize money won't cover your trip. And this is an invite TV event. That can't be right.
I bet that a bit more. It's a TV event. But the prize money isn't huge when you look at in comparison. I'm not trying to sort of devalue £80,000 here, but in comparison to a TV winner then only getting £40,000, it's not a huge amount.
I don't know. I get that. Look,
Probably for me, this is probably more around, for the World Cup perspective, this is more around they have got to look at that prize pot as a whole that probably needs to increase. When you look at other events, that prize pot probably needs to increase because of how many players you've now got travelling. You probably need more of a prize pot for this tournament, as there's more teams, there's more players, and there's a lot of teams who we don't know with either 4,000 or 5,000, which is not a lot. Split between two.
No, but it should cover expenses these days. The furthest journey is going to be from Japan to Germany, which
and probably add to that.
Booked in a while ago.
Probably add into that as well. Do the certain players sponsor stuff or anything, because there's no sponsorship on shirts? So it's like where's that extra income? Obviously, we know the players earn certain amounts for the sponsor on shirts. Where's that extra income going to come from for the players in this one? So I feel like the PDC sort of needs to support the players a bit more on this occasion, because they are taking away potentially that sponsorship that's not there. I don't know if you'd
be surprised if every player doesn't have flight or travel or hotel expenses covered by sponsorship deals on a TV event for Sky. I mean, before we were online darts and we were on the hockey, we backed one of the players in the World Cup and we were one of 4 on that. And I tell you now, it was one of the Brazilians, it was Bruno Rangel. And if all 4 sponsors paid the same as we did, his flight was covered from Brazil. Hotels expenses on that, out of your prize money.
I'm not convinced all of these would.
5 years ago when it was cheaper.
I'm not sure all of them will have sponsors, though.
Most of them will.
Oh.
So I've just done a quick thing on Skyscanner. The average flight from Japan to Frankfurt is around 1,300 quid.
A week? You're booking with a week's notice?
All right. Let me put a month in, because some of them didn't know.
Then you're in the middle of the summer holidays.
No, I'll go a month.
To travel at that time of year.
I'll go outside the summer holidays for a week.
You're just skewing it. We need to do this months ago.
Let's go October. No. So again, October. Cheapest is 1,100. Most between 12 and 13 still. There's no different.
Yeah, you're getting $2,000.
Plus
Hotel for 4 nights.
It's €150 a night, because I know, because I'm in the same hotel.
You're still covered virtually. One sponsor and that's it.
But what I'm saying, covered, I get. But you're in the thing to make money. You shouldn't just be covering. You're there to make money and provide.
You've been invited. Yeah, you are. But for a lot of players that you're talking about that won't have the sponsors, they're there for an experience.
No, I don't buy that.
Yeah. Not every single one of the players playing in the World Cup this year is a professional dart player. There to make money.
Most are. 90% of them are there to make money.
And 90% of them have got sponsors that would have done half the legwork, or management companies that are backing it, or whatever else. But the ones you're looking at the exact extreme will be there for an experience, and that bottom amount of prize money, as disappointing as $2,000 might be, will cover expenses for that journey.
Not when you take off tax and living for, but your flight and hotel has just wiped out the 2K. Take your tax, so you've got to take your tax off that 2K for a start, and then living for a week as well. Nowhere near. You are losing money.
Don't finish bottom.
Say again?
Don't finish bottom.
Yeah. You're there to make money. Be better.
No,
I'll remind you of that next time.
I think it should be increased, but that's a prize.
I know how to end this. Nah. Next.
How we doing, Mace? Cheers, buddy. Thank you very much.
Groovy looking shirt, Mace. I forgot to take a photo of it for socials.
But yeah, so the race for the match play off of today's Pro Tour. Some of the big movers and shakers, obviously Gary Anderson. Gob has now admitted he's there, he's done. Also, after a dismal showing last time out in the Pro Tour, Barney has moved up to 13th and he's edging his way ever closer. You gonna call this one yet?
No.
So, chat room, what are you saying as well? How far down on the match play order of merit do you think is safe? Bearing in mind we have one Pro Tour and one Euro Tour remaining.
Steve Beaton is going to the match play.
Do you think? I think Beaton's still in danger.
Beaton's not at the Euro Tour. Kim Hybrex and Brendan Dolan are. They're 2 rounds tomorrow and 1 extra round at the Euro Tour away from Beaton not going.
I think, isn't Whitlock
3 games away? Yeah,
isn't
Whitlock's there
at
as
the
well.
Euro Tour as well.
And Willie O'Connor is. And Jim Williams is. Yeah. Leave that one, we see it.
I think 40,000 is enough.
It may end up being enough, but right now I wouldn't be calling Beaton safe.
I'd be booking his B&B right now.
Hotel, €150 each.
Actually,
it's Beaton as well. He's flying in.
There's no official hotel for the match play. They all stay in various locations around.
What happened to the Holiday Inn Express up north? They sacked that off.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they literally all stay in God knows where around Blackpool now.
The first time I went, we literally stayed on the street on the back of it.
Yeah, I know. You were by the football club, aren't you?
No, we were outside the venue. You opened the doors of the hotel and you could see Eric Bristow 200 yards up the road out the private bit smoking.
Yeah.
We were on Adelaide Street. We were on Adelaide Street
yeah.
in a hotel called Boomerang with an Australian dart player.
Fairs. Yeah, no, they all stay in different places now. Bob's going 13th up. I think Barney will make it, but I wouldn't call him safe. I think definitely Gurney up. I'm edging towards the Decker up.
Gurney, yeah.
You saying the Decker no?
I think the Decker will, but I wouldn't call him.
Long red dog.
I'm not saying he's not going to make it, but if he doesn't win a thing, I'd not be on the realms of possibility. I'm looking at it going, are enough people going to earn enough money in the next 2 events for all of them to overtake Daryl Gurney? No. Is it possible that happens to Mike Decker? Yes, just that little bit more. Because that extra space counts for a significant amount as well. Because that's one extra player from outside that's got to make the jump. Or more money that everybody below's got to accumulate.
I'm very, very intrigued to see
With that being said,
the draw for Euro Tour 10 now.
Oh, Christ, yeah. So,
there's
no.
a conversation to be had that Steve Beaton's the most vulnerable.
Because he's not at that Euro Tour.
Yeah. And whilst
But it's
this
a bit
already
like...
includes first round money for ET10 for Hybrex and Dolan.
Yeah. It's a bit like being in the position of, from a football perspective, points on the board or the games in hand. The Euro Tour 10 guys are the games in hand, and they've got that sort of potential to push a lot more. But I just think, especially with the pressure, I still think Beaton's safe.
If Beaton loses first round tomorrow, trouble.
Okay, I think 40,500 is enough to get you to the match play without using names.
So, yeah, the 2 Pro Tours in July do not count towards the match play. Had clarification from the PDC. Tria at the start of July is the cutoff.
Not a fan.
Doesn't make sense.
No, I don't get why you'd put them there if you weren't going to include them. One of the questions was, do we think Willie O'Connor will make it?
No. Despite the fact it's £500 further back, I think Whitlock's got more chance of making it.
Whitlock's not doing anything to suggest he's going to make it.
No, but Willie O'Connor made his board final for the first time today.
Sounds like he's more in form.
Willie O'Connor won a board final.
So, again, another one from Leo. Do you think that Brendan Dolan will lose his spot for the match play?
Yes, Willie for Brendan.
I still think Steve's the one in trouble at the moment. As we sit here right now, Steve Beaton's the one in trouble for me.
What three get into the match play over him?
It's not 3 get over him. It's 1 get over him. Hybrex and Dolan just move above him. It's not 3 people jumping in. It's 1 from outside.
But then Hybrex and Dolan have still dotted debts above him, which
they have.
Dolan's still £3,500 off, and the form that Brendan Dolan's in, I don't see him at the moment picking up £3,500.
No, but it's 2 games tomorrow and an extra game on the Euro Tour. He's 3 games away from it.
Don't see that amount of wins coming from that a player in that sort of form.
It's interesting. The dynamics for the match play are really interesting now. Also, we'll look in more depth next time, but the race for the women's match play as well concludes at the end of the month. The players are going to go to Germany for that as well.
So, do we think James Wade's now safe?
Yeah.
No, but he'll get in. Even if he drops out the 16, he'll then be on the other side.
If he's on the other side, he's only on the same amount of money.
Is he safe as a seed? No. Could Ross Smith go and win a Euro Tour? 100%.
But
is he going to Blackpool? Yes. He's above.
You wasn't 100% certain that Mike Didetta is there. Mike Didetta on the same money of James Wade. If James Wade drops out the top 16,
I think he'll get in either way. If Ross Smith goes and wins a Euro Tour or goes deep enough in a Euro Tour, that's 1 less spot that somebody from outside can earn enough to jump above them in the Pro Tour Order of Merit. If Ross Smith is earning money to take it away, there's less opportunities for people to do that in 2 events left. There's 1 less big money value to play for someone else to make a jump to go above it. Plus, and everyone else has got to go to whatever round they have to go to.
Here's one, and it's an interesting one before we move on to the thing. Who could crash the party like Roby did last year? Now, I'm not sure if this guy is in ET10 because I haven't got it up. But there's a name that jumps out at me straight away. And if he is in ET10, it would be Matt Campbell.
He is, I think. Yeah, he is.
I think he's one that could gate crash it. I think he has the game to go and win, or certainly get to a final of a Euro Tour.
I'm not convinced it happens, but yeah.
I'm not convinced it was the question. Was, could gate crash like Roby did?
Tell you what. From absolutely nowhere.
RKO?
Gian?
How far back is he?
Way too far.
20,250.
Well, that would be some crash.
He's in the Euro Tour. He's won a Dev Tour this week. Playing again tomorrow.
If he came from there, that would be some feat.
Mm-hmm.
Need 20,000 in 2 events.
That's win a Pro Tour semi-final, final territory. But again, the question was who could, and I agree. The form that Jan is in, he would be one of the ones that is playing better and could do some damage. Like I said, the race for the women's as well. One event left, which we'll look at more on next time. But it's looking as if there's not too many places up for grabs. You've got Lorraine and Aileen in 7th and 8th. They're the two in danger, would you say, going into the last 4 events?
Yeah, I don't think the money that Lisa, Fallon and Robin is on is probably enough. However, the quality that those 3 possess, I'd be very, very surprised if they then don't go up and pick more money. It's not as if someone's just won one out of nowhere and sort of in that position. The quality that them Robin, Fallon and Lisa have, I would expect all 3 of them to be in the 5,000 sort of figure at least. So it is just for 2 spots, I think. And 2 massive names who were sat in that. Eileen had got to the final last year. Lorraine, we know the qualities she's got in the game for however many years. It's just, so there's 2 massive names there, and one of which at least wanted me out. Especially with Noah, Katie, Laura, a couple of those played last year. Motivation there will be huge. So I wouldn't be surprised to see someone sneak in.
I
agree. I don't think on the last weekend's performance or last block, I don't think Laura Turner's playing well enough to gate crash that party. But Katie Sheldon, Noah Lynn Van Luyven, definitely from further afield, you can't write off the quality of someone like Dieter Hebman or Trina Gulliver.
One you've missed there, Dob, just to say she performed in the last lot in comparison, is Kirsty Hutchinson.
I thought she was
better form last time than what she's playing before.
In the last lot, I agree that maybe she's the one that could come from afar.
Corin and Anastasia at 20 and 21 as well. World finalist. Corin just been to Australia to pick up a WDF ranking event. Anastasia playing more women's series darts now.
It's hard because
recently, but
you look at the current top 8 and you think they're probably going to be the winners at the moment due to the form and how they are. So it's looking at who can have that run to a semi-final and a final across that sort of period and gain the money that way. And yeah, I'm probably Katie and Kirsty come into the mix more. I think Karine obviously did see a win in the weekend, but may just be a little bit too far. That would need a win and then another good run, not just the final.
The interesting one is obviously the draw with the women's series because there is no seeding. So, for argument's sake, say the big 4 all got drawn in the same half for one of them, then there would be a huge opportunity for someone else. I know that's draw dependent and we don't know by that, but if that happened, then all of a sudden it becomes interesting. If you have Bo, Mikuru, Lisa and Fallon all in one half.
Someone's getting sacked that presses the big red button.
How it's done is set up as well for the match play. That is seeded, I believe, isn't it? One plays 8, 2, 7, so on and so forth. How it's set up at the moment, yes, they're not in those positions, but Bo's 1, Makuru's 2. If Lisa and Fallon were to win their games, they would be 3 and 4 because the position 5 and 6 in the draw, that they actually would avoid that until then the semi-final. It's going to be interesting to see if, if Lisa and Fallon both move up and they're 5 and 4, that drawing aspect to that weekend will be massive.
In fact, we spoke about this on the last Ladies Series stream, Boise, and there is an argument going into the last 1 or 2 women's series that this shouldn't be right, but we've seen it in other things. There could be benefits for pulling out and working out where you're going to fall in that group.
Yeah. If it benefits you long term and it benefits you for the one TV event of the year, why wouldn't you?
I don't see where that would.
So if
Who would consider it from there?
If, for example, Fallon moved up to 4 down into the last event and Lisa was in 6th, would Lisa want to move up to 5th to play Fallon, or would you prefer to play Rhiannon O'Sullivan? How good Fallon is on TV. It's that sort of possibility, isn't it?
Yeah, we worked it out that as it stands at the moment with the top 2 seeds, 6th is a better position to be in. Because you play seed 3.
Yeah.
In the quarterfinals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I suppose that you play 2 as well rather than 4, 5.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So going into that last one, if you're sat in 6th, do you want to add any money to your ranking? If you're already safe and not the knowledge that you can't be caught, you are going to the women's match play, and you're sat in 6th, do you want to add money to your tally?
The thing is, it'd be totally clear as day as well that someone had done it because of the 2 events in one day.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I'm not playing
come
like
that Sunday, it could be worked out like that, and you could. Well, hang on a minute. What position is going to be better for me in the draw bracket?
Maybe, but you just sold us how expensive it is, hotels and travel-wise. They might need that final event just to be able to get home.
Oh yeah, quite possibly, because it's in Germany. That does sway it the other way because you're already there. But if you were in Wigan or Barnsley or MK, you could easily sack it off.
If you're currently sat in the positions of Lorraine, Eileen, and then maybe Lisa and Fallon, I know we said they're sort of just little bit too far. Do you want both to play that weekend or not? Because Bo has the potential to go and have a weekend swoop as she's done before, or pick up at least 1 or 2, you'd expect. Would you want her there? Does then no one else who can get in that position to win the money to catch her? Or would you prefer the heat at Dover?
Regardless, you'd want her there.
No idea.
So obviously, if you pick today, Lorraine and Eileen are in only if you didn't have them events. So they're just in a position of no one to go above them. Is that a help or hindrance? Yes, you might draw it, so it's out the equation, but it's one of those that sort of thumbs up of an interest because of those into that argument. It's looking back on where you want to be positioned and what helps.
I think if you're one of the 8 players currently involved or the 12 at the top, you've got to back yourself to go and win it. And if you don't, then what are you doing there? Because if you're thinking like that, you're not thinking you're going to go and win the women's match play either.
But isn't that the same with the seedings?
Essentially. But there are players you'd want to avoid early on, yeah, granted, but...
Or is it the flip of it? You'd want them early on if you think your chances are better. We talked about your likes of MVG and Price catching them cold right at the start. Would that be the same for the likes of Bow and Fallon? Who I'm guessing are going to be the 2 favourites down into the events.
Depends how much practice people do between the start and the afternoon.
100%. I'm with you on that one.
That can be a help or hindrance. We know that.
Yeah. So that's the race for the match play Hots Up. So all eyes are on the World Cup of Darts, the new format as pairs only meets us. We're in an interesting interview with Gary Anderson. Hopefully going to drop if the quality is half decent, but he's not a fan of the pairs. He prefers the singles. He's the only one, I think.
What are you saying? Sorry. Blank man.
Didn't do his survey. Sorry.
Yeah. Gary's not a fan of pairs only. He prefers the singles.
It's because he's got to carry Peter on current form.
But the 4 seeded nations, and I know Gob's going to have a rant on this shortly. England 1, Netherlands 2, Wales 3, Scotland 4. The seeded teams in the groups are Belgium, Germany, Australia, Northern Ireland, Republic of Ireland, Austria, Poland, Canada, Czech Republic, Spain, Latvia, and Switzerland. So, group stages, Thursday night, Friday afternoon, Friday night. Top nation goes through to the knockout stages when the 4 seeds will be drawn in. So, first of all, I know Gob's not happy with the seeding protection, shall we say?
Yes.
Why?
Because it's too much.
Why is it too much?
Because they don't have to play in the group stage, and then they're the only 4 that are protected. And quite frankly, it's based off what they do individually elsewhere at an invitational. It's ridiculous. Australia, defending champions, have got to go and play in a group, and they might potentially go and draw the number 1 seeds after topping their group and not dropping a leg. The fuck's that about?
The top 4 are the only ones drawn into a draw bracket. Everyone else is random.
Everyone else is random. Not a fan at all.
Moving forward, maybe year 1 of this format, I don't think you can take into account what happened previously if you didn't do that way.
I think you could protect the number 1 if that's how much protection you're going to be giving people. I appreciate it's an odd number of teams. You've got to get a certain number to get to your 16 to your bracket. I mean, initially, I'm pretty sure when we sat down and discussed this, we were told top 2 from each group we're going to go through is just the group winners. So there's no second chances. I like the fact that the fixtures will be done so that there's no dead rubbers. That last match should always mean something. In every group. It has to.
I'm guessing
the seed plays the second team. The winner of that, the loser of that then plays the other one. And then the third, I don't know, I can't remember. What is it? Yeah, the seed plays the second team. Then the loser of the first match plays the third team. And then the winner of first match plays the third team.
my gripe on it's the same as last week. The Australia not being, but that's the champions should be. But they've never done it on World Cup. They should moving forward though, because you are now doing a doubles tournament throughout. So there's nothing else you should base it on. The only difference is you've got different pairs every year.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I think. If you're going to seed the winners, then you have to go away from the way they currently seed the players. You couldn't do it on a combined ranking.
Yeah, I'm up for that. It should be on a rolling almost 2, 3, 4 year coefficient on nation performance in this tournament. Extra players might change, but your nation has earned that right.
Or do you just do it as simple as semi-finalists this year or top 4 next year?
Well, you're still shafting Australia's defenders unless they go all the way through. They've got to go through one of the 4 that are getting protection.
No, but I mean, moving forward for 2024.
Can be right here. Moving forward, yeah.
For 2024, they could have your 4 semi-finalists as your 4 seeds.
Yeah.
Easily determine 1, 2, and then 3 and 4. It wouldn't really matter. You could split them by, I don't know, leads 1 across the tournament or whatever. You could do something then to determine your 3rd and 4th. Because I don't want a 3rd and 4th playoffs as the partners, but you could do a 1 and 2 in that order.
It's interesting.
I'm laughing at Jamie's comments. So all in all, we'll seed 1, 2, 3, and 4 just make up the semi-finals. No, it shouldn't happen, but them trying their best to make it happen.
Or at least,
100%. Look, let's be fair. The TV companies would rather have the big names there than not. That's just the way TV works. Are people going to tune in to watch the lesser-known players and lesser-known nations? Maybe not. TV companies are driven by numbers, so they want the big players in.
They do, but the only way you can grow this is if you see the upsets and the shocks and whatever, and protecting the top teams effectively diminishes the chances of an underdog happening and creating a boom. This is, for all intents and purposes, an exhibition event. It's an invite event. It's there to grow the game. Therefore, protecting the top teams from it give you less opportunities for the lower teams to go and make a name for themselves.
From a PDC point of view, I completely agree. But we were talking about the TV companies. The TV company, right? Let's be fair.
Yeah, but the PDC make this decision believing that's what the TV companies want. It's how they've sold the Premier League. It's how they sold every invitational for the last decade.
Sky
It's
Sports,
the Premier League all over again.
Sky Sports couldn't give a monkeys about growing the game in the Philippines. That's not their market.
No, I'm not saying it is, but it's just very, very happy that this moved to all pairs. And the more and more you dig deep to it, the more and more I'm a little bit like,
Right. We're going to go through the groups.
Have we got the full rule book yet, by the way? Or just the list of order of separating groups that finish level? Because in a group of 3 that play each other once in a best of 7 format, as we have seen twice on a Saturday night in Portsmouth, it is possible for all 3 teams to finish on the same amount of points and the same amount of leg difference.
And would you do a 6-dart shootout or a 12-dart shootout? Or put pressure on the captain and have a 9-dart?
I don't know.
What would you do?
I bet you they try and decide it through legs won against the throw or fucking averages first instead of putting more entertainment up there.
Wait a minute, let me check my emails. Let's see what's written, if there is anything.
We want a 9-dart shootout.
Would you want 9 or would you want 12 or 6?
I just want a shootout.
Oh, 6 would be great, wouldn't it? The pressure on your 3 darts would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
Part of me feels like some of these would be like the bullseye challenge and it'd just be down to 101.
Competitions. Right, there's
I've just got the Tom Hardy movie coming. I came here for a shootout.
There's nothing on the press release that was sent out.
Ooh, that means I'll hide it.
However,
well, 3-way though, mate, isn't it? That's the problem. It's not.
However, I've got the players brief as well. Let's have a look.
No, you don't. You don't get access to that. Not publicly while we're live streaming, you muppet.
Let's see if it's on that. Not that one. That one.
How do they bracket it for the knockout stage? Just 1, 2, 3, and 4 drawn into each quarter of the draw. So 1, 4, 2, 3, and then the other 12 teams are drawn out randomly.
Schedule. No. Play format. Haha! In the first round, 2 points will be awarded for a win. No points will be awarded for a defeat. Should there be a 3-way tie in the group after the round-robin games have been played, these would be split as followed. Leg difference.
Got no issue with that.
Legs won.
Should be the same thing.
Legs won against the throw. Highest total average.
Oh, fuck off.
Highest winning match average. If the teams cannot be split after the above criteria has been applied, a playoff will be organised between the representative tied teams.
Surely the first 2 are going to be the same regardless. If you finish level on leg difference, you're going to finish level on legs won.
I'm just reading off the...
You have to.
I'm just reading what's on the.
Yeah, the playoff isn't happening at all.
No. So, yeah, leg difference, or total leg difference, total legs won against the throw, highest total overall average, highest winning match average. Then if they cannot be split on the above criteria, it will be a playoff organised between the respective tied teams.
Legs won in a 3-man group, if you're finishing level on leg difference, would be the same.
Yeah,
as a secondary, that doesn't make sense at all.
So it's legs won against the throw.
Yeah. I'm sure it would.
Yeah, it would have to.
If your leg difference is level, then you've won the same amount of legs. You have to, because you've won one, lost one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
so
still,
however many legs that you've.
So the second one is legs won against the throw.
Yeah. Legs won is redundant. If first one is level.
Yeah. So yeah, legs won against the throw. There you go.
Shit.
I'd prefer not knowing. At least there's the chance.
You asked, I told you. Right, we're going to go through the groups. I would like to know, chat room, get involved as well. We are going to start with Group A, Belgium, China, and Finland. Are we all going Belgium?
Hang on, Andrew. If you win more legs in defeat, then you'll have a better leg difference. Because to finish level on points, at that point, you'd have to won one and lost one. You both would.
Right.
Where are we? Group A.
Group A, Belgium, China, Finland.
No.
Belgium.
No.
Are you going China to cause the upset?
No. Finland, big upset.
Are you drunk?
No. Steady.
Are you having a birthday drink for Phill?
No.
Sure.
Jimmy was bang average once again today. Kim was beaten. I get they've got chemistry. I get they've got history in this. I just see the finish just plodding on and having enough.
No, I think if the upset
I think the Belgians might throw slightly more better darts, but they're going to throw more worse darts.
I think if the upset was to come for me personally, I'd say China.
I don't think Finland win a game.
No, I'm with you. I think they lose all. Group B.
They'll lose both, but probably get for all their difference, depending on what rules the PDC made up.
Group B, Germany, Hong Kong, Japan.
If this wasn't in Germany,
I think the crowd pull Germany through this regardless.
Yeah.
What is
it? That being said, do I think Germany are better than both of those two teams? Yes. Do I think they're stronger? Yes. Do I think this is a group where we could see all three teams winning one game and losing one game? Yes. Yeah. Could one of them surprise Germany and then lose to the other one? 100%. I think Hong Kong have got that in them to beat Germany and lose to Japan.
Germany just.
Depends how switched on the German crowd is as well. If Germany do lose one, to how aware they need to be of the other game and in not influencing it, but supporting one of the other two nations.
Oh, they'll influence it, all right. They'll know.
Yeah.
Group C, Australia, Ghana, and Gibraltar.
Australia dropped one leg.
I'm going Australia.
Yeah.
Clean sweep?
I think the Gibraltar duo are talented. I just don't think they channel it as yet. Like I said before, I think both of them would benefit from a year each playing with somebody more experienced, i.e. a Dyson parody 1 year for them.
I just think that's too easy for them. Group D, Northern Ireland, France, Ukraine. France.
Northern Ireland just.
I just think Northern Ireland's record in this tournament is absolutely shit.
Correct.
I don't think they like playing. I don't think they gel as a pair. They get on, but I just don't think it works as a pair. I don't think the dynamic's not there.
True.
And I think it's the fact that they meet first as well to have an impact on that.
Yeah, and I think the French lose that because of that.
Oh no, I think the opposite.
No, I love Thibaut Tricot. I think he's been fantastic, and he carries a lot of weight for French darts. But given how long they fought to get in here, given that Labra is actually the one that's technically snuck them into this event as a tour card holder, I'm not convinced they hold up on TV. Tricot was favourite for the Super Series last week. He finished 5th in Group A.
Doubles can do weird and wonderful things to you, as we've seen in the World Cup before.
They can, but I'm just given the performances there, and the last time we saw him on TV before that would have been the World Final, maybe a Euro Tour or two, but his record there doesn't seem great. I think the Northern Irish have just been there and done it. Do I think it'll be pretty? No. Do I think they've got enough ammunition? Yes.
I just don't. I just look at their record in this tournament, and it is horrific. They are, in terms of a team, I just don't think they are. I think
it'll be interesting to see who throws first in this one.
I think they're both talented individuals, but I just don't think it works as a pair.
When did Ukraine last play on TV? One of them may have played at the World Cup, at the World Championship.
Yeah.
Amlechenko, wasn't he?
Potentially.
Group E, Republic of Ireland, Thailand, Croatia.
What are the two Thailand players told of them, Phill?
Don't know, I can't see them on my sheet.
Scroll down a bit, mate. Have a look.
I'm calling them Dave. I'm calling them Dave and John.
I'm not upset then in this one. Croatia.
I'm going Ireland.
Yeah, Ireland for me. Barbak's okay, but no.
Group F. This is, I think this is a horrific group to call. Austria, Denmark, United States. I'm not convinced about any of these.
The Austrians have got experience as a pair. They've been to semi-final together?
Final, wasn't he?
They got to a final.
Yeah.
They lose to Wales.
Yeah. But I'm just not sure it's that Mensur Sulevic anymore.
Who else in this one?
Denmark and the United States. The USA team is Jules Van Dongen and Leonard Gates.
I'm not sure they're going to click.
I'm not sure about any of them.
No, I'm not sure they click at all.
But that's why this is one of my favourite groups, because I looked at all three and feel there's a potential that all three could, but equally, all three could be a complete mess.
I think Denmark will gel together, but I just think the experience of Austria has to get them through this. Just about.
Continuing on the sort of the crest of the wave of what the USA are doing, I'm going to let them to sneak through, but
I'm
sneaking through.
I'm going USA, but I don't say that with any real conviction. I just say it on the basis I don't think Roby's played particularly well this year, and I just generally don't know what Mensur Suljovic is going to turn up.
You can say the same about Jules, though.
Oh yeah, 100%. But I think I trust out of them all, I trust Leonard on TV a little bit more than the rest.
After February, yeah.
Group G: Poland, Portugal, Lithuania.
Lithuania.
If the Poland team was different, this would be easy.
Lithuania.
I'm still sticking with Poland. Lewandowski always stores for Poland. There's a 1-0 advantage. Poland are down for it.
Lewandowski. Darts, surely.
I'm
going
going
Lithuania.
I'm going Poland just, but I think Portugal finished bottom.
With the strut of Lewandowski's pinging tops.
Unlike you, to put Jose bottom, Mr. Bars.
It's not even on Jose, it's his partner.
Don't know anything about it.
Exactly.
Don't know anything about Luis Meixer.
Effectively, Jose could be trying to take on two players here.
Yeah.
It is the thing, and if that happens, it doesn't matter how good you throw. You're not winning.
Joe never played pairs. Yeah, every year Portugal have played because normally he wins his singles and his partner loses.
Yeah, and it's can they get out of jail in the pairs?
Yeah.
Group H: Canada, India, Hungary.
I mean, Canada are huge favourites for this one, given the former Jeff Smith. Matt Campbell is the one that's being talked up that little bit more. India finished bottom for me. Hungary. Look, if the Canadian pair play like they did individually today in the Pro Tour, Hungary will have a shot at them.
I think Canada win both, but edge both. I'm not convinced that they are strong enough, as we were talking about. I can't remember who it was. Just dropping one leg. I think they come through that route, but it's weird to say winning both games, but just coming through, if that makes sense.
Kovacs can play.
Yeah.
It's what does he turn up with and how good is Sarai? No, Australia, the easiest winners. In a group.
I'm going Canada. I just think they smash it. Group I: Czech Republic, Singapore, Philippines.
This group might need to start today to finish on Friday. Looking at them 6 players.
The only thing I'm going to predict in this group is Lawrence Ilagan absolutely loses his mind playing at the pace of the 5 other players in this group.
Yeah. And we won't see any of it. Does he always stands in the way? So it's really slow. We don't see any of it.
Spend more time looking at Lawrence's arse than you do the dartboard.
But I think
Perez looked solid again today. We wrote him off at the World Championships. He won his first game. Did he beat Whitlock and then lose the following round? Or did he go push Whitlock all the way game 2? I can't remember which way round it was.
I can't remember.
Then picks up a tour card relatively easy after saying, oh no, will he, won't he? Has played well on the Asian Tour, come back into a Pro Tour environment today. Look, didn't smash people off the board, but to beat Rob Cross round 1 in your first game on a Pro Tour that's taken 13 events to get you there, yeah, pretty solid. A very good Rob Cross as well, by the way. He threw some solid darts in that game. think you have to edge them.
Who are you edging for?
The Philippines over the Czech Republic.
I'm going Philippines as well.
Yeah.
Although Sedlacek had a decent run today. Gaulas won a dev tour for the first time yesterday. Is Gaulas technically captain in that side? Or are these listed alphabetically? I'm not sure what they're listed as. Because Lavra has a tour card, but we've got Trikov named first.
Most are ordinate. As far as I can see, they are all in captain order apart from France.
Yeah. Just surprising. Is Gaulas higher ranked than Sedlacek then? They keep his card, so it's a year ahead of Sedlacek.
Yeah.
He got it back. Yeah. I think Sedlacek's key to them. He is mustard.
Yeah, I'm going Philippines.
Yep.
I hope it's the Philippines. Jay, and I'm not going to lie, this is a pony group. Spain, South Africa, Iceland.
The supermarket finished bottom. Gary Katona will not be cheering from home.
Anymore? Just put the names in the hat and pick one.
Oh no, I think as a pair, Spain have the best two players. But I just don't think it's going to be a good group.
They do have the best, but as we've said, the doubles is a level and we've seen wins before early on from South Africa. We've seen shots from Spain. I'm with Dob and I see Iceland bottom, but it could be a toss of a time between South Africa and Spain.
I'm going Spain.
I'm going Spain.
Yeah, let's mix it up then. South Africa.
Costas, what's the media like for the World Cup? I don't know with the new format. We'll find out. Group K, Latvia, New Zealand, Bahrain. Bahrain finished bottom.
Did they win a leg?
Not convinced.
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah, why not?
For me, I think New Zealand topped the group.
Yep.
Are these the two that actually won legs in the World Series event?
I haven't looked, to be fair.
Surely that's not how you pick your World Cup pairing.
No, but I think they might be. What was that? The Bahrain Masters?
Yeah. I'm going to Poland.
I think New Zealand.
They were the only two there from Bahrain.
So, yeah, they will be then.
Yusuf lost 6-1 to Michael Smith.
And
Army lost 6-0 to Johnny Clayton. Yes!
And the leg that Smith lost, he missed 6 match starts. Not that I'm bitter, but that would have won me about 700 quid.
I just want to see the action again. The DARTS sits there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It was like lying across that. His thumb and fingers all touch. And whipped.
I'm going Bahrain will be dreadful. And they just bought their way into the tournament.
You've got no issue with commercial viability anywhere else.
I haven't. Did I say it was an issue? They've just bought their way in.
Said it with a tone.
If it wasn't for the sake they bought a World Series event, would they be in? No. I haven't got an issue with it.
It was the tone, Philip, not what you said.
Correct.
The tone.
Next year we'll have Saudi as well, probably. Saudi, Bahrain.
Why are you smiling? They're horrible regimes.
Brings money into the sport. I'm good with it.
Next.
It's the way it is in the world.
Jack, why are you surprised you would have 52 weeks of the Premier League if you did have it?
This man would go to Bradford for a Premier League event if he had to.
Let's be fair. If Saudi had bought Liverpool and chucked all the money at it and you were champions, you would not moan. You would cheer.
I might wear a little sticker somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. So let's not get on your high horse here. That if they bought your football club, spent $1 trillion, and you won everything, you'd be happy.
No, I'd be bored shitless. Did you see them plastics celebrating in the rain? Lol. Next.
Last group: Switzerland, Italy, and Sweden.
Hang on, we didn't actually pick that. We just said Bahrain would finish bottom.
No, me and Boise both went New Zealand.
Yeah.
Oh, same.
Yeah, see? So, Group L, Switzerland, Italy, and Sweden.
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 Switzerland.
Right. Bearing in mind, we haven't got a clue who gets drawn where after they've come through. So we're just going to do it blind and hope. Who makes the final if they get kept apart and who wins?
Semi-final will be England versus Scotland and Netherlands versus Wales. I do think we'll see plenty of upsets in the groups. More than we used to in the knockouts, but I can't see past England and Wales meeting.
So the draw is done after the games on the Friday night. So it'll be a bit like the UK Open. They'll probably have the game, quick ad break. They'll whip the old table up on the stage for the My Diesel Claim World Cup.
What a name. Who's doing the draw?
Guessing it'd probably be Wayne and Webby or whoever else is on punditry duty.
Emma hosting, but then they've got to throw away. Maybe they send Johnny Mack to do it like they done the UK Open.
Yeah, I would imagine that. I'd imagine they'll do Johnny Mack and the two pundits,
and then have a third pundit waiting
with Emily. Yeah,
Hart and Webby to do the draw. Marder waiting to talk through it.
Possibly, yeah. Something along those lines.
I mean,
So anyway, going back to
no one cares about that, really, do they? Let's be honest.
Why the only best 15 as well? Why not a little bit longer?
Because the average is going to be about 86 at best. But it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, that's pretty much why.
Yeah, to do a bit more out of them.
Yeah.
I'm going full on England. England beat Wales in the final. Rob Cross hits the winning dart.
I don't know whether I let my heart rule my head or go with the most likely outcome.
Go for it.
I really want Scotland to win, but I just think Wales are head and shoulders the best team in there. As a team, the fact they get on their mates, they've done it before in pairs, big pairs games as well. I would like Scotland to win, but I just can't see past the Welsh.
Yes. Wales beat a rogue Germany in the final.
Rogue Germany, I like that.
Just based on them being drawn into half of the draw as it is. But yeah.
Smith and Cross get on. Not an issue there, look. But they're not mates away, like good mates away from darts, where Gezi and Johnny are, which I think gives them an advantage.
Yes.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why I want Scotland to at least get to the final.
Part of the reason, the only reason you want them to win is so Andar lives it.
Well, no, he gets back in the slam.
Is it finalist or just winner?
Oh, yeah, finalists getting the slam as well. TV final. This is one of the arguments that the players have, and they hate it. The fact that the finalists of the Grand Slam final of the World Cup getting the Grand Slam.
Yeah, for Scotland, they're 3 matches away from winning the Grand Slam.
Yeah.
Yeah, more protection. Stupid.
So that is the World Cup of Darts. So no, I'm genuinely looking forward to it. I know we laugh and joke, but it's good.
Yeah, Dre, I'm looking forward to it as much as any of the other big ones because of the format change. And yes, we've run through the groups, and some of which we've said will be won with ease. It's not going to happen in doubles, is it?
Yes.
It'll be interesting, but I'm looking forward to it. Super Series this week. What a week it was. How good, boys, was Steve West?
Pass. I'd had 8 pints for Chris Mason by the time Westy was throwing that winning dart.
Honestly, Westy was superb.
I thought he was working this weekend, though.
Finished. And then we had a pie.
Connor, I've got that starred for a week in darts for question time, mate. We'll come to that shortly. Steve West was sensational in winning and booked.
He made an appearance at the seniors on a Sunday as well.
Did he come up? Did he?
Yeah.
Cool. I like that a lot. So that was good to see. This week's Super Series actions kicked off with a bang. Barry Van Peer, Fallon Sherrick leading the way in Group A. Seniors got, but it all got a bit interesting.
Yeah, Jim Long winning the Saturday.
Yeah.
And then the final on Sunday was something. I mean, Jim Long beat Derek Coulson in the final on Saturday. Derek Coulson has been playing some fantastic darts. I think he lost in the semi-final of one of the qualifiers in Reading for the Masters. He's ridiculous, and he's a name that a lot of people won't have heard that much. He's been very, very good. Just let Jim get out to too big of a lead to start the final. His finishing was beautiful, by the way. The final on Sunday between Robert Thornton and Kevin Painter is one of the best matches I've ever had the pleasure of refereeing. They just kept hitting each other over and over again with big visit after big visit. It swung one way, it went the other. It was superb to watch. And it was played in a really nice atmosphere. Plenty of players watching around. Lots of respect between the two for each other. Key practice 2 weeks out from Seniors TV event. Mace threw some cracking arrows on the Sunday. Didn't quite get going on the Saturday. Missed plenty of doubles in that first game. There was some good runs. Who else played pretty well this weekend? Andy Jenkins was very good on the Sunday once again.
As after the weekend changed your mindset on players going deeper? Obviously, we'll do the preview for Yeovil next week, but has your mindset changed on anyone going deeper now, Dob, after the weekend just?
I need to get the draw up now. I hate when I do this. Potentially one or two. I mean, there was no Colin McGarry this weekend. and he still remains leader on the order of merit moving into the match play qualifier as well. So he's still got that buffer. I think given McGarry's absence, Mike Huntley put a lot of pressure on himself, knowing that actually a good run that weekend would put him number one headed into that final qualifying weekend. I can't even find the draw on there. Trina responded well on the Sunday to losing on the Saturday opening round. That was good to see. She will play Mace. Painter, tough part of the draw. Dennis Harbour was steady. I don't think so, I think most are pretty similar to where I had them before. Dennis Harbour played steady. We haven't seen a lot of Martin Adams recently. Kevin Painter has been a level above what we've seen from John Parton Senior's event so far. Was a little bit worried. He went on holiday a couple of weeks ago, played Modus last week before, was chopping and changing equipment a bit. At one point, he must have broke a record for playing with more different sets of flight systems. At one point, he had 3 different darts in his hand, basically. But steadied the ship, solid set of equipment all day. I think he averaged four averages in a row over 90. Wasn't Richie Howson's best weekend on the board. First day run into Jim Long, I think it was, game 2, after beating Kevin Painter game 1. That might have been the wake-up call that Painter needed. Richie himself said he probably needs to get off the snooker table a little bit. He caught the bug at the World Championship. Cameron Duff, I think, is an absolute coin toss. Still, Duff winning that week in the Super Series recently. Cameron's been playing in the CDC event still. Thornton looked very regular on the Sunday, struggled a little bit on the Saturday, but TV is where he absolutely comes alive. The lack of McGarry playing this weekend, he might live to regret that, but he's mopping up the vaults over in Ireland. Taylor against McGeaney. I said it at the last event when McGarry drew him, and I don't think we saw the real McGarry. I think McGeaney will beat Phill Taylor. And then Gates versus Dubbridge. Dubbridge was down to play, but didn't come over for the weekend. So that one, I'd probably give Gates the edge just a little bit, given that he's playing in the World Cup this week. Just come in that little bit fresher in front of that camera. Other than that, struggling to look past Thornton to lift it again right now. Or to lift this one. When he gets going and that first dart is in the treble, he is relentless. Absolutely relentless.
I was a tad concerned, especially after the way he performed last time in the Super Series and on the Saturday, but the Sunday has kind of put me at ease again.
Yeah.
With Thornton.
Yeah, but we said this going into the World Championships. He'd had a stinker in the Super Series. He hadn't played that well. He was going to run into potentially Scott Mitchell, I can't remember who else he had first round. Scott Mitchell second round. Then you're looking at that expanding a bit. He played Rich in the final, didn't he? And even then you're like, does Robert have enough here? And no one really laid a glove on him.
No, I agreed.
We did an interview with him as well. So we did an interview with Jim Long on the after winning on the Saturday. An interview with Robert on the Sunday. And one of the key lines was, look, Colin has played brilliantly on the floor. Maybe you didn't see the best of him against Phill Taylor in the Circus Tavern, but playing on TV is different.
100% it is.
And as much as Thornton was happy to win on the Sunday, he's like, this isn't my bread and butter. I win in front of cameras.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, I agree that he comes alive when there's a crowd and a TV camera.
Yeah.
Completely agree. Michael Smith won today, beat Gary Anderson. What else have we missed on a week in darts? We always miss something.
There's 5 Dev Tour events to talk about. It's 20 to 10.
That's the one. I knew we'd miss something.
Dev Tour 11 was won by Bradley Brooks, beat Owen Roloffs in the final. Good runs from Bradley Roos, Harry Gregory. Bradley Roos was in the Super Series of the week. Neil Duff won it, actually going all the way to the final. Luke Littler, Jared Cole making the quarterfinal of that event as well, for what turned out to be a pretty good weekend for Jared. On the Friday evening, Wessel Nyman defeated Dylan Slevin in the final. Rusty Jake Rodriguez, Gian Van Veen making semi-finals. Owen Roloff's quarterfinal again. Sebastian Bielecki quarterfinal. Bradley Brooks in the last 16. That's the Players' Champ. How have I ended up with that? I've got Players' Championship 13 instead of Dev Tour 13 in front of me because I just saw 13.
Fairs.
That one was won by Gian Van Veen. He beat Wessel Nyman in the final, so it was back-to-back finals for Wessel. Jared Cole, semi-finalist in that event, losing to Wessel Nyman despite averaging 104 on a Dev Tour. Runs again for Bradley Brooks, Bradley Roos, Cam Crabtree to a quarterfinal. Rusty Jake Rodriguez in the last 16. Luke Littler last 16. No title for Luke Littler this weekend is probably a standout. Did he struggle with the heat a little bit? The fact people are just that little bit more used to him now. Jared Cole, what a Saturday he had. He went on to make the final and win it in Dev Tour 14, beating Rusty Jake Rodriguez in the final. Cam Crabtree, a semi-final in that one. Jurgen van der Velde. Want to talk about Levi Frauenfelder, another young Dutch player that has suffered with dartitis in the last 18 months, going on to make the semi-final. There seems to be quite a few players that we're having that discussion about right now about young upcoming starlets. Are we potentially putting too much pressure on kids' shoulders? And then the final event on Sunday, Adam Gaulas winning his first Development Tour title, beating Dylan Slevin in the finals. 2 finals for Slevin over the weekend. Frauenfelder, a semi-final again. Van der Velde, a semi-final. Bradley Brooks, Nathan Rafferty, quarterfinals. David Schlichting, I think he made 2 quarterfinals over the weekend. Rusty Jake Rodriguez, pretty steady. Also, Keem Barrier last 16, Jared Cole last 16, Pascal Rupret last 16. Plenty of names that have then gone on to play today and again tomorrow.
Yeah, and just looking at the Dev Tour order of merit, Gian Van Veen leads the way. Luke Littler second, Wessel Nyman third, Bradley Brooks third, Jared Cole fourth. Now, look, Gian Van Veen has a tour card, so even if he finishes top, irrelevant. Bradley Brooks fourth, has a tour card, but I believe this is his second year.
He's active in the tour card race, yeah.
Yeah.
So this goes back to the point of tour card holders potentially shooing a tour card by another means.
Yeah.
But Luke Littler and Wessel Nyman well placed as well. 2 that have had very differing career paths. So it'll be interesting to see how they go in the back end of the year.
Correct. World Championship race again is Luke Littler, Wessel Nyman, Bradley Brooks out of that one as well. Jared Cole nicely placed for both of these, by the way. Over big if he can back up his run this weekend. What we got, another 1 block, 2 blocks?
2, I think.
How many Dev Tour events are there this year? 25?
Yeah, something like that.
24. They got another block of 5 and a block of 4.
The World Youth Championship is going to be interesting at the back end of the year, that's for sure.
24 tournaments, 5 3-day weekends.
Yeah, the youth will be interesting. The race for the spot at the World, spot at the Grand Slam. A lot to play for.
It will, because don't forget the tour card holders that might not be in this conversation that are under the 23 on the first or the world final are involved in that as well. So not only do you have the players in this that are playing well at the moment, Gian Van Veen, Luke Littler, Josh Rock will be in that World Youth Championship again to defend it.
Yes.
World now.
Gene can take the Grand Slam spot if he finishes first. I'm sure that will open up another can of worms.
Not developed yet.
No, it's not just that. But let's talk about it. We spoke about it last week. The fact that Jeff Smith couldn't have, or as it stands, hasn't got the spot for winning the North American Championship because it's a path that not all tour card holders have. Should this be applied here? Because Gene Van Veen, not just Gene, by the way, but he's just top, so that's why it's being highlighted. It'd be the same if it was Bradley Brooks, Dylan Slevin, Nathan Rafferty, whatever. The fact that they're going to get a spot in a ranking event going through a way that isn't available for all tour card holders. Is there a difference?
It shouldn't be on the Dev Tour. And that avoids all of that completely. Doesn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know how many times we've had this conversation. If you've got a tour card, we keep saying you've earned the right to be at the top table. If we're having that discussion about lower earnings and base incomes and whatever else, if you've earned the right to be a professional dart player and we're sat here crying out for minimum earning income so that players can go and be that professional for 2 years that they've earned the right to do, etc., then at that point, no matter what age you are, you shouldn't be on that development tour. They go hand in hand. Yes, you still have less experience than those that are in that position. But if you have been to Q school believing that you're good enough to go and get a tour card, you should sacrifice the right to then play on a development tour.
Playing devil's advocate on it, I agree with you, by the way, but playing devil's advocate on it, we suggest at times that 65 to 1-8 should play in the Super Series, for example. Why is that different if you're not in the top 64 as a dev player?
Say that again.
So if, for example, if you're 17 in the world, at the moment we're saying, and Phill alluded to it earlier, that they should be playing in the Super Series or should be allowed to play in the Super Series because they're not currently in top 64. Why is that different for a dev player?
We're saying that at the minute because of two issues that exist with the Pro Tour, in that the minimum amount of earnings for players outside the 64 isn't high enough, and it's a restriction of trade and being able to go and practice or play anywhere else. If we address the fact that there's a minimum earnings and we want that to be a thing, then the argument for these Dev Tour players with tour cards to be on the Dev Tour or players under the age 23 goes away as well. They shouldn't be there. And the issue with that is that for the last 10 years or whatever that they've had the development tour, the standard keeps on getting better. And that's been the headline. That's how they bring in more sponsorship. That's how they get more eyes on the development tour and how they can continue to fund it and go, isn't our youth product brilliant? Blah, blah, blah. Get a couple of those names. And if they do something special at a World Championship or upset someone, they've got a story ready and made, and it's come from their progression line. They don't have to give credit elsewhere. And it's just, if you take away the tour card holders, they're removing a large percentage of the players that have produced that quality on a dev tour in the last 10, 15 years. And the argument will be, well, Dimitri Vandenberg had the opportunity. Now look at him. Luke Humphries had the opportunity. Now look at him. Corey Cadby played Dev Tour for a while. Now look at him. Josh Rock had the opportunity. Now look at him. And if you're taking that away from these guys at the end of next year, it's like, well, how comes they all had that opportunity? But there's so much more now out there before you hit the development tour. 10 years ago, before you played the development tour, you either played in your local league with your friends and family or parents, whoever they got you involved in it, or you played youth county. There was no JDC tour or there was no advanced tour, junior tour, whatever it is, or anything like that. They've seen the opportunities. They've seen the youngsters produce in the last 10 to 15 years, and parents are pushing kids or comfortable with allowing kids to play darts at a much earlier age. It is becoming more of an acceptable sport for kids to play rather than something you do pissed up in the pub when you turn 18, 19, you go, oh, isn't this good to have a crack at?
Yeah, that's right.
Especially when you see the likes on TV that go in Brighton at the Premier League and you see how many events are on TV now. It's a bit like women's sport. You're only going to encourage young girls to play sport if they keep seeing girls achieving and performing and having that lifestyle and whatever, and more events, more and more kids look at it and go, yeah, I want to do that. Brilliant. 15, 20 years ago, if you were 4 or 5 years old and said, oh, I love darts, you were very, very rare. You either were a footballer in this country, your parents played a completely different sport and they pushed you into it, which they picked up as a teenager, or it was in your family bloodline, or you played football, or you didn't do sport at all, you read books. Now there's just so much out there. It's so much more accessible.
Agree, my friend.
Yeah. I've said it for a long, long time. Tour card holders should not be there.
No, 100%. Right, question time then. Let's get him in.
Should tour card holders plan a dev tour? No.
So we had one already. Do you think Ireland deserves more than a Premier League night? Yeah, look, absolutely, it should. And look, they are looking at it. They have got a list of venues to go and look at for next year to potentially take the World Grand Prix back. But the issue is there aren't too many venues in and around to use apart from the 3 Arena and the City West. And look, the 3 Arena is not viable for a 9-day tournament. It's too big and too expensive.
It'd be good though.
Would it?
Minus your Monday to Wednesday, probably, yeah.
Don't get me wrong, the back end, yeah, I agree, but I think
first weekend and back weekend. Or
what are the venues? I don't know. I wasn't told what the venues were. Matt just said they had a list they were investigating and looking at. But it would be good to go back to the Emerald Isle more than once.
I think Wales has probably earned that a little bit.
Agreed. But again, it's the same issue of where you have it.
Yeah.
Because apart from the Motor Point at the moment, I don't think, is there any other venues capable of hosting it in Wales?
Did the Motor Point host the Champions League, or was that somewhere else?
No, that was at the Champions. That was at the Motor Point, where the Premier League is as well. Yeah, no, I'd like to see something else in Wales. Take the Grand Prix to Belfast, May says. Yeah, that's an option. I don't dislike that. Do you think it's easier for teams to win the World Cup who only have one good player? Now it's pairs only. I only have to win one. No, I just think in pairs it's harder over a longer format to carry someone if they're not very good.
It is over a longer format. In the short format, in the groups, not necessarily, because you can rely on being thrown out of rhythm. Your opponents hitting 60s instead of tons that little bit more often because they're waiting 3 visits to get back to the board. I think we'll see quite a few players at the back doing the old pull-in phantom dart. Just trying to get something going. Just keeping their arm going at the back, trying to find something.
Especially in group. Was it group J? No. Was it grouping with
Czech Republic, Philippines?
Yes. They should have a practice board next to it.
Czech Republic, Singapore, Philippines.
Yeah.
I tell you what, the one thing that the one disappointing thing that is about it going to all pairs is we won't get the camera in the changing room when the other players are sat there when their buddies are playing on stage. That was always one of the highlights when they cut to that camera.
That would only happen.
It's when he realises it's not going his way.
That would only happen then if you have a 3-man team.
Yeah,
I could get behind that.
No, because some of these teams don't have a strong enough second.
Yeah, you might have to use them. You know, someone to win the team with a Stock Tarson as your number 3, don't you? The equivalent of a not. Winning anything.
1 quarter-final, thank you very much.
But yeah, be interesting. So, one big country to go out in the groups. That one's that.
Are they big?
Northern Ireland.
Poland.
Northern and Republic. I'll have both.
Belgium, a lot of people thinking. To be fair, out of them all, it is the Chinese, I think, that could upset Belgium. I am really looking forward to seeing Zong after absolutely ripping up the Chinese Premier League.
Finland, steady.
So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the Chinese. Interesting as well, getting towards the transfer window in the darts manufacturing world as well. It's always summer and winter that players move.
There must be some more equipment on the way soon as well.
Yeah. This would be tough to have the World Cup as a week-long event. Although I like it in principle, I don't think it holds up numbers-wise to do it in a week.
No, not for me.
No. And they're struggling to fund it as it is. You can't start getting them there for a week long, and then there's extra TV to find, extra sponsorship to find, extra staff to pay for everyone.
Yeah, well, effectively, you're over doubling the cost of the tournament straight away.
We asked for doubles. We've got doubles. Let's just stick as it is for now.
And slag off the rest of it.
Well, the calendar or the event.
Don't know what you're on about, Jamie.
She wasn't too scared of upsetting people, 100%. Here we go on our TikTok.
Oh, Christ. Oh, we could have some right fun, couldn't we?
We can record 2 right now.
Yeah, 100%. No, the World Cup doesn't count towards ranking points.
Good. But we said that about the Grand Slam many years ago, and who knows, it could change.
Which were the first team to hit and not 9 in the pairs. I think Wales for me.
Yeah.
I think they're the most complete team.
I'm backing England for everything, so I'm doing England for that as well.
How many countries could the PDC have in the World Cup? I think it's just about there now. I don't think you can go too much more.
Not at the minute. Don't think there's any more in Asia you could go for at the minute. Indonesia, maybe. There's an argument for Brazil, but they didn't go to the qualifier, so that's on them.
And let's be fair, they've had enough freebies over the last 5 years.
Yeah. That's about it, really. Russia, if diplomatic relations ever get resolved.
Saudis, if they're paying off.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all good. Right, that is us signing off, everyone. Thank you very much for your continued support. Same time, same place next week. Plenty coming up in between. We know you're not here, but Yeah.
You laughing at?
Getting your hair dyed.
I'm off for a few weeks. It must be really bad hair dye.
The comment. That's the reason we never see the back of your head on these streams.
But yeah, plenty of World Cup action coming your way. We return Pro Tour stream tomorrow. God will be doing the first couple of hours on his own, then I shall hop on after the Super Series finishes as always. May get another cameo from Fallon. But other than that, boys, it's been splendid. Been Phill Bars, Jack Garwood, Lee Boyce, the Online Darts Live Lounge signing out for another week. And we'll see you all very, very soon.
Bye.